As biotransference proceeded, the Catan greedily devoured the flesh and souls of the Necrontyr. From the bioforges emerged ranks of Necrons, crafted from living metal, marching with an unstoppable stride. However, as his organic frailty vanished and his mind became faster and clearer, Szarekh, the Silent King and leader of the Triarch, began to deeply regret his decision. Watching his people lose their souls while the Catan feasted on their life essence, Szarekh realized that the memories stored in his mechanical mind were merely copied data. The race known as the Necrontyr had been effectively exterminated. The new Necrons were nothing more than soulless puppets. They had been utterly deceived by beings who called themselves gods. Yet, though they were now mere shadows of their former selves, the race achieved a terrifying unity under the command protocols. No dynasty could ever again defy the will of the Triarch, and the Silent King, now in an immortal metal body, could rule his people for eternity. Together, they moved to the next step of their terrible bargain. Inheriting the Necrontyr's hatred for all life, they challenged the Old Ones once more. With the star gods at their side, the Necrons' technology reached heights unimaginable to modern civilizations. Even their basic weaponry utilized advanced Gauss technology, electromagnetic projectors that stripped targets down to their component atoms, pulling the resulting energy back toward the weapon's muzzle. This horrifying effect worked equally well on both flesh and the thickest armor. This technology was integrated into every unit, from the basic infantry to massive canoptic constructs, heavy vehicles, and even starships. Beyond Gauss weaponry, the Necron armory contained other terrors, Tesla weapons that unleashed arcs of living lightning to incinerate entire clusters of enemies, the Aeon staves of the chronomancers, which could accelerate time around a target to cause instantaneous decay, and the singularity generators of the massive Seraptech heavy constructs, which create quantum points that collapsed into implosions, dragging everything nearby into oblivion. Furthermore, every Necron soldier possessed reanimation protocols, allowing them to self-repair or even reconstruct themselves if destroyed. If damage was beyond immediate repair, they would phase shift back to their tomb complexes to be rebuilt and eventually return to the battlefield.
In the void, their fleets utilized inertialess drives, allowing them to cross star systems at incredible speeds without ever entering the warp. Combined with the empowered Catan, the Necron legions gained absolute dominance in the physical universe. The war in heaven swept across the galaxy on an astronomical scale, utilizing technologies that defy the comprehension of modern races. The Catan and their Necron slaves used black holes as weapons to annihilate entire star systems, while the Old Ones fought back by channeling the non-physical powers of the warp. To hunt their enemies into the furthest reaches, the Catan, known as Nyadrazatha, the Burning One, helped the Necrons breach the Old Ones' Webway. In response, the Old Ones uplifted new psychic races, including the Aeldari, Eldar, and the Krorks, ancestors of the Orcs, to fight with the power of the soul. For a time, this strategy worked. The Catan, being entities of pure material energy and the laws of physics, could not touch or understand the Sea of Souls. To counter this, the Necrons began researching ways to seal off the warp entirely. They utilized a mysterious substance known to the 41st Millennium as Blackstone, Noctilith, which could either amplify or nullify warp energy. They built massive pylons and the Blackstone fortresses, known to the Eldar as the Talismans of Vol, to defend against the Catan. However, the prolonged suffering and death of the war rippled into the warp, churning the once calm psychic dimension into a nightmare. Extreme emotions of agony and hatred birthed the first demons and the precursors to the Chaos Gods. Horrific entities like the Enslavers emerged, turning psychers into living portals to invade reality. Despite the growth of the psychic races, the tide could not be turned. As the Necrons mastered the suppression of the warp, the Old Ones were systematically wiped out until they vanished from the galaxy forever. Yet, as the Catans celebrated their victory over the Old Ones, the Silent King Szarekh led his people in a sudden betrayal against their masters. Szarekh had never forgotten the Catan's deception. He waited until the star gods were weakened by the war in heaven to strike. Using every ounce of their god-slaying technology, the Necrons shattered the Catan into thousands of shards. Though nearly impossible to truly kill, as they were part of the fundamental fabric of reality, the Necrons succeeded in breaking them.
During this conflict, the Catan known as Landugor the Flayer cursed the Necrons with the Flayer virus as he died, a sickness that would forever haunt their mechanical programs.
The defeated Catan shards were bound within multidimensional tesseract labyrinths to be used as weapons and batteries for Necron constructs. Even Szarekh's own throne was powered by the fragment of a god. These shards remained extremely dangerous, often possessing enough self-awareness to plot their revenge. Occasionally, multiple shards could be merged into a transcendent Catan, a being capable of warping physical laws but prone to breaking control with catastrophic results. By the end of the War in Heaven, the Necrons stood as the undisputed masters of the galaxy, but they were a broken race. The cost of defeating both the Old Ones and the Catan had been too high. Szarekh realized that with the warp still in turmoil and the Eldar rising to power, the era of the Necrons had to wait. He ordered his people to transform their cities into gargantuan tomb complexes hidden deep underground or in subdimensional pockets, protected by canoptic constructs and advanced anti-detection systems. The Silent King issued his final command, the Great Sleep. For 60 million years, the Necron dynasties would remain in stasis while their enemies withered away and the stars themselves burned out. Once all were interred, Szarekh destroyed his own command protocols, freeing his people from his direct control, and left the galaxy to seek penance and a way to reverse the biotransference. However, the long sleep was not perfect. Over the eons, geological disasters and astronomical shifts damaged many tombs. Many nobles who retained their self-awareness awoke to find their minds eroded by the long sleep, descending into madness or the flayed curse. By the 41st millennium, as the Necrons slowly begin to stir, they find a galaxy far more dangerous than they left it. The warp is more violent than ever, and new threats have emerged from beyond the stars. The once unified empire is gone, replaced by fractured dynasties struggling to reclaim their lost glory. In this dark final age, their madness and power make them more dangerous than ever. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.